All right, we are on.
Sweet.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming and chatting. I want to get into what you just did, your 30 days of, I would say 30 days of hell, but maybe it wasn't.
No, it was. So, that's what I said in my last podcast. I was like, pure hell.
Yeah. So I've done, we'll just kind of introduce you here. So this is Wyatt, works with Alpha Flow Athletics. We got to know each other a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And it's been a fun little relationship, just kind of playing ideas off of each other. And you guys had me come on your podcast, and that was really fun. And we need to do it again, but in person, because it's always fun.
Oh, 100%. Now that you got the place, awesome.
Yeah. But I've done a 3-day fast, and that was hard.
Yeah.
But what did you just do?
So me and my one of our workers down in Spurgeon, we were kind of going over goals for the year, and because we like to do races and stuff. And we've done fasting too. We've done intermittent fasting. I've practiced intermittent fasting quite a bit and done longer periods of fast, 48 hours, 72 hours. I came across a study done with Angus Burby, which is I can't say his last name, but Angus, the guy that in the 1960s was able to do a 398-day fast.
Yeah.
And I was just intrigued. I was like, how? Obviously, looking at him, he was like 400 pounds, and so it was like a clinical trial fast.
Yeah, didn't he stay at the hospital or something?
So he stayed at home. I didn't know this.
Okay.
They stayed at home, but they had him monitored by doctors. By the time it was like 100 days in, he said that like eating to him just sounded gross.
Interesting.
Which is like weird, right? Like you're like, for me, it was like, I want food.
Yeah.
I want steak. But yeah, he was like given potassium, given like sodium and different things. And I was just intrigued about how the body was able to just last that long, with eating itself. And when he was done with the fast, he was healthy. Everything, his vitals were healthy. Everything was done. So Dallin and I kind of had the idea. I was like, before this ultra Spartan race that I want to run in June, I was like, I would like to see myself at 200 pounds, because I have never been at 200 pounds less since I was been in high school, and that's been almost 8 years now. So I was like, I looked at fasting. I was like, there's a lot on the physical side, but there's a lot more on the mental side. Yeah. And we are a mental performance coaching company. That's what we do. We coach athletes on the mental side. And so I was like, this would be kind of a cool thing for social media. And it'd also just be a cool thing for me, just because I've pushed myself a lot. But this is like something I've never done that long of a fast. So yeah, I worked with Dallin, and we did a couple weeks of preparation, kind of like, okay, like what are like the worst things that can happen, which is, people are like, you could have died. It's like, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, probably not have died, but like definitely like could have been sick, different things. But so the biggest thing that I was like, we need to just make sure that we have this and this and this, which was electrolytes and vitamins. Yeah. And so Dallin kind of did a deep dive on like different kinds of companies that sell like electrolytes and vitamins and stuff. And in our last podcast that we did, we actually showed everyone what we took every day, which was, sodium. My sodium source was pink Himalayan salt, and then usually had 1.5 gallons of water every day. And then my potassium source and my magnesium source was a company called Micro Ingredients. The guy that made the Micro Ingredients company, I believe he's a doctor, and in the Micro Ingredients, there's about 1,000 milligrams of potassium and 100 milligrams of magnesium. And the daily allotted amount like that I was given for like being on a fast was like 4,000 milligrams a day of potassium and stuff. So we had to really make sure that my electrolyte was going to be up. And then just vitamins. Like we had to take a vitamin. So I just took a multivitamin and called it good, and water. Yeah. And that was it.
and you did that for 30 days.
30 days.
All right, so let's break down the first couple days.
Okay, yeah. So I said this in the last podcast. The first 7 days were the hardest. Okay. Because like you said on your 3-day fast, it's kind of like when you first start, your body's kind of fine for like the first 6 hours. Yeah. But then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so hungry, because your body is just used to having a food source all the time. And so I feel like your brain is like telling your body, hey, where's our source? We need our source. But so that first day was like, okay, I'm hungry, but I'm fine. Like we'll be fine. The second day, it was like, I had this burst of energy in the morning.
Yeah.
Got up, felt fine.
That was day 2?
Yeah, day 2, felt fine. And then it was about the afternoon where it really hit me. It was like, we don't have food. you know, like
that's the same even on the 3-day fast. By day 1 day and a half, that's when it starts to hit me.
That's like when it really like started to hit me was like, hey, like we definitely need food, you know? And so being trained by Jeff in Alpha Flow Athletics, we have something called ANTs, the automatic negative thoughts.
Yeah.
And I mean, these weren't negative thoughts because your body is trained to help you be alive, right? Yeah. But if you have this goal where you know that your body is going to be able to sustain itself, you have to be able to put off those thoughts of, you know, you need food. It's like, no, I'm fine. Like, and that was kind of what helped me a lot was speaking out loud, getting rid of those ants, the automatic negative thoughts. And so that was day 2. Day 3, that's when it really hit me. I got up in the morning and I was like, I feel weak. You know, I feel like, you know, I was kind of lightheaded and things. And it was really nice to have an accountability partner, Dallin, who was there every day. Like I called him probably every day. Like, oh my gosh, dude, like I'm struggling. Like this sucks. Like, and he's like, he was just making sure. He's like, do you have enough potassium? Do you have enough magnesium? Are you drinking creatine? You know, are you having all these things? That's another thing I took was creatine as well. And so by the end of 7 days, that's kind of when I felt like my body was kind of, it was used to it. It adapted. Yeah. And I've noticed that when you stress the body, whether that's fasting or cold plunging or saunas, your body will adapt. There's a period of like, this sucks, right? This is awful. But then once you can get past that period, then it's like, oh, we're fine. Yeah. Like we're eating away the things that your body doesn't need. We'll just use that as its fast source or your storage source for energy, and we'll just do that. So it was really the 7 days that was the hardest. And then after that, the next, 23 days, it was like, I still had ups and downs of energy and stuff. And like, but I kind of got in a rhythm. Yeah. And it was like, let's just finish this out. Once I got to day 15, I was really happy. I was like, let's finish strong.
That's really cool.
Let's go.
So really from day 7 until 15, that was kind of more just like, I don't know, ups and downs. But then day 15 hits and you go.
Day 15 hit, and it was day 15 to day 25, and then those last 5 days, like it was like, we're so close. Yeah. We're so close. And it like, what kept me motivated was seeing the results. Yeah. Like seeing the body weight drop and doing in-body scans, which is what we have right here, and seeing like the visceral fat that in an in-body scan you can see drop drastically. Like that's like the hardest fat to lose is your visceral fat, because it's the fat around your organs. And usually that's targeted the last, but when you're stressing the body like that, it's targeted first. So
interesting.
It was that was what kept me going. I was like, if I can make it to the next in-body, see the results, then I'll be like, this is awesome. Let's keep going, Yeah. So
that's really cool. Well, let's go through your in-bodies. And then what we can do is I'll just take pictures of them and upload them to CapCut and just throw them up on the screen so that people can see them.
Absolutely. So this is the first. Like this is about a couple days before I started. So my body weight, we'll just focus on the key factors. So my body weight was 244 pounds, and my skeletal muscle mass was 109.4. And so, that was like the muscle that's attached to your body, and then you have your body fat. But then my body fat percentage was 23.9. So it's above the line of like, healthy. So I was unhealthy at that time. And my visceral fat was 116.9. So then fast forward, we go.
And the visceral fat, for people who are listening, it's not a percentage.
No, this is
in-body has its kind of, I don't know if they're proprietary numbers, but it shows you if it's low, if it's in the middle, or if it's high.
Yeah, and this is it's so weird because like they did not used to have this. It used to be a percentage, but now they have it this weird way. It's like a measurement, centimeters per inch. I can't remember.
Yeah, so they're actually measuring the visceral fat, but not in a percentage compared to your body. They're actually saying how much visceral fat you have.
Right. And so it was right above the line. So the line of like unhealthy above is like
Yeah.
100, and so mine was at 116.9. So that was like I wanted to get rid of that. So fast forward like a week later, my body weight. Oh, actually, this is like a week and a half later. My body weight went from 244 to 225. So drastic,
Nearly 20 pounds. Yeah.
drastic drop. Skeletal muscle mass went from 109 to 104.9. But my visceral fat went from 116 to 91.
Yeah.
So
that's really cool.
it just, I mean, that's really hard. If you're actively lifting, you're actively running, and you're still like eating food and stuff, like unless you're just eating meat,
Yeah.
you know, like if you're on a carnivore diet, you're not going to see that big of a drop.
Yeah. And also it's important to realize that when we lose weight, we will lose fat and we'll lose muscle.
Yes.
So something that I was pretty impressed with in your fast is that you continued to work out.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, you were benching like 315 in the middle of a fast.
Yeah. So on day 20, it was funny. Me and Don were at the gym, and we were just doing and I told Don, I was like, look, I'm just here to rep.
Yeah.
I'm not here to try to train for a race. I'm not going to run during this fast. You know, I'm not going to try to do anything that's going to really hurt my body. But it was kind of like more of an ego lift for me. I was like, because he was benching, and I was like, let's just. I was actually interested. I was like, let's just throw it on and see what happens, you know. And so we did. We threw it on, and I had warmed up prior, and I had hit it, and I was really happy. I was like, I still got it. You know, I still got my strength. You know, and so like while during this fast, it was more like walking every day, being doing active things. But then when I would go to the gym, it was more just like reps. It wasn't like, hey,
you're not trying to max.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
which makes sense.
Yeah, and I really think that because like if I just would have like sat and did nothing for those 30 days, I still would have lost weight. But you know, you don't use your muscles, you're gonna lose them.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
so,
especially in a caloric deficit. Which I also think is important that you were taking creatine throughout.
Yes.
So you're moving, you're taking creatine, you're trying as hard as you can to hold on to the muscle.
Right, and that's what helped the most, I think, was having creatine be in that diet as well, like as well as the electrolytes and the vitamins. Creatine was definitely a big part of that.
You're craving the steak, which makes sense. I mean, for the first 3 or 4 days, I'd probably be craving Reese's peanut butter cups.
Right.
But the steak, it's interesting. Like you were probably craving steak and eggs.
Oh yeah, steak, eggs. Have you ever had a sourdough sandwich? Like sourdough, and then you take like an avocado and you put an egg and a steak on there with like some spicy mayo.
Yeah.
I would dream about, and the hardest thing I think for me during this, I had because I still had roommates, right? My roommate, I came home one day and he was making him and his girlfriend, now his wife now, he was making her filet mignon. Yeah. And I was like, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
You know? And of course he's like, oh, you want some? You know, he's like, you want some? Yeah. So, but yeah, like steak, eggs. I still craved sugar. I still had sugar cravings.
For sure.
When I drive by Chick-fil-A, I'd see like the milkshakes and stuff. I'm like, can't wait, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah. But yeah, so that was the second one. And then we did 4 in total. So that's the second one. This was like a week later. So we went, okay, so now my body weight was at 225, but now this next week was at 214. And then my skeletal muscle mass went from 104 to 102. But then still, my visceral fat was at 91, and then it dropped to 78.
Wow.
So it's still on the decline. It's still going. And this was kind of the week where, you know, when I was calling my parents, they were like, you're looking lean, you know? And I was like, yeah, I mean, I've weighed 214 before, but like it has been a while. So that was the next one. And then the last one was the last day. So this day, I woke up, and this was kind of I woke up and I was like, okay, I just need to go do my in-body, and then I'm going to get back on some food. So woke up, and so my final results for body weight, going from 244 all the way down to 205. That was my body weight. My skeletal muscle mass went from 109 to 98.8, and my visceral fat was from 116 to 70. Yeah. 0.8. And my percentage of body fat starting out with this was let's see, I was thinking it was 20 basically 24%, 23.9%. But then my body fat was 17.4.
That's crazy.
So in 30 days time, a month time, it was like, it goes from like really like not on the greatest end to like an end where it's like, okay, like that's pretty healthy. And my in body score went up. So I was pretty happy about that. Like, and I love how they do like, you got
Like
94%.
Good job.
Yeah, good job. So
That's an A-.
yeah, seriously. Seriously. Definitely something that like I will always like be grateful that I've done, just to say that I have done it.
Yeah.
And I'm not the only one that's done it. Before I started this fast, I was researching this doctor that actually puts patients, he's got 3 clinics down in Washington where he actually puts patients on fasts like this to get rid of, he believes, autoimmune disorders.
Yeah.
And I kind of agree with that because this was a reset.
Yeah.
For my body. This was a major factory reset for a body, and fasting will do that. Not necessarily 30 days, but like even if you do 24-hour fast,
Yeah.
it kind of really just gets rid of all the garbage.
Yeah, it is kind of a detox.
Yeah. And so
Wait, there's a doctor that actually heals patients?
well,
That's crazy.
yeah, seriously, and not gives them medicine and sends
Yeah.
them on their merry way. Yeah.
Just give yourself a shot every week. You'll be fine.
Exactly. Yeah. So
It's
I don't know. As the mental performance side of this goes, because this is the physical side, but as the mental performance side of this goes, we are definitely more capable than we think when it comes to like what we set our mind to. It doesn't matter if you're an athlete or entrepreneur, whatever you are, student, whatever you are. You can do some amazing things as long as you like push yourself to do it. But it all starts in the brain.
Yeah.
It all starts in the mind. Because every day it was a battle. Every single day. It was like I was tempted with food because you're just surrounded by it. Nowadays you have DoorDash.
Yeah.
You can DoorDash anything to your door. Back in the day, like you had to go out to an actual restaurant and go order the food or go to the grocery store. Nowadays people sit on their butts and they can order DoorDash and they can get the food right there. And I'm just grateful that we live in America, to be honest. Because like after the fast and things, like once I kind of weaned myself back on food, it's just like, man, food's everywhere.
Yeah.
I can go out and get whatever I want, store whatever. There's people around the world that just, I mean, they have to either hunt for their food every week, or they have to save up as much money as they can just to buy themselves a bowl of rice.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife and I have gone to Haiti a couple times and done medical missions, and essentially down there, we're like, man, why is everybody happy? And we just talking to people, getting to know the culture a little bit. And one guy's like, if I wake up and we have food, we can party. Like, we're good.
Yeah.
If we have food that day, that's why we're happy, because we have food.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy cow, what a difference. You come back here and someone's wearing like $150 jeans, and you're like, you realize your pair of pants would pay for school for a year for a kid.
Seriously.
It's just, we are so incredibly lucky.
We are. And I think that's what really like, and it also opened my eyes of just how much garbage
Yeah.
there is in food as well. Obviously, like I'm not one of those like people that's like, I'm never going to eat ice cream again. I totally am.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm totally going to have ice cream. I'm totally going to have things. It's just, I know that I know what my limits are. I know like how much I need to have, and I know that I need to exercise. I need to keep my body strong. But yeah, there are so much garbage in food, and it's just amazing. Like that the body, like especially my body, like during this fast, what I was getting rid of, we'll just say that what I was getting rid of was amazing to see. I was like, wow, like these are things that have been built up over time, because during the fast, your body is cleansing itself with your ketones, and it's getting rid of all those dead cells that are inside of your body. And those dead cells, I mean, basically, if I had cancer, I don't have it anymore.
Yeah. No, I've heard that, and
Right?
some really good data and research showing like, fasting, essentially it's targeting cancer first. And I'm not a scientist. I don't really understand it, but I do enjoy PubMed, .org or whatever, PubMed, and reading the literature.
Yeah.
If you have cancer, you should be fasting.
Yeah. And we actually, when we did our podcast, I pulled from PubMed. It was just studies on, fasting, but also like creatine and different things, and how it helps get rid of like cancerous cells in the brain that causes either like brain cancer or even like cells that can cause Alzheimer's disease and all those different neurological disorder diseases. And so obviously I'm not going to like say like everyone should do a 30-day fast, but I think that if you are someone that wants to practice fasting, it's good for everyone.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you are. It's so good for you. And that depends. And you have to kind of decide, it's like, well, maybe I'll do a 10-hour fast or a 12-hour fast and start slow and then gradually.
Yeah. Before the 30-day fast, what was the longest one that you'd done?
I had done a 7-day one.
Okay. Cool.
And that was actually a couple weeks beforehand. I kind of wanted to initially shock the body.
Yeah.
Basically, just so it's like, hey, like, by the way, we're not going to have food for 7 days. And after that 7-day fast, I kind of those 3 days I ate whatever I wanted. I was like, I'm gonna be packing on things right now just because I know, and that probably wasn't the best thing to do, but still.
Well, isn't it interesting what our brain does?
Oh, yeah.
Because your brain's like, hey, you better pack it on,
dude.
It's about to leave.
Yep. Yeah.
When in reality, what we maybe should do is a 1-day fast, and then you wait a week and do a 2-day fast, wait a week, do a 3-day fast, kind of work your way up to it. And then before your 30-day fast, one more light meal.
Yeah.
That way
something that's high in
like
protein too.
Yeah. Your stomach's like shrinking over time, and then boom, make it happen. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not a scientist.
No, but I just totally believe that it's more mental than it is physical. Like it totally is. Which basically is mostly everything, right? Sports,
For sure.
Entrepreneurship. You're an entrepreneur yourself. That initial, when you first initially started your businesses, right? Think about it like that. Like think about the first 7 months of starting a business instead of 7 days. Those are probably the hardest months, right?
Yeah.
Would you say?
It can be.
Yeah.
It's interesting because when we got into business, I knew nothing about business, so I didn't even know what to be worried about. So I would say a couple years in is when it actually
7 years
started. Yeah. We're gonna do a 30-day or a 30-year. No, never.
No.
Yeah, but I see what you're saying, and it is like if I were to start a business today or like the paving business last year, I knew what to worry about. Therefore, it was worry.
Yeah.
So I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah. So yeah.
So how? I mean, this is a big question, but how did that 30 days change your trajectory of life?
Because I have this goal of running this ultra marathon, I think for me it was more of a better understanding of like, okay, that now that you've just done this, like if I was to go back to 244, I'd be pretty pissed.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and so like I have to stay after the 30-day fast. I still have to set goals for myself and achieve those goals, especially when it comes to like my protein intake and different things, because this race is going to require, a lot of endurance when it comes to running, but a lot of strength as well. And so if I would have just done this 30-day fast and then just kind of like ate whatever I wanted for the next year, I probably would be back to where I was.
Yeah.
And it would be a total waste. So as far as changing the trajectory of life, I think that like just staying focused on a goal all the time. Like after the 30-day fast, it's like, okay, now what's my next goal? And then after that goal, what's the next thing?
For sure.
Because that's just how I have always been built. It's like if I don't have a purpose, if I don't have a goal, then I'll just sit there. And,
it's easy to coast.
You're content. You're comfortable. And I don't want to do that. Yeah. And I think that this was kind of like the rocket ship of like motivation. It's like you lost all this weight. Now all you got to do is work on your endurance, work on your strength, and get to like, the race day. And then after that race day, okay, what's your next thing?
For sure.
And who knows what the next thing is going to be.
Yeah. Well, when we get to the top of the mountain, you either want to go conquer another mountain.
Oh yeah.
Or you want to help people come to the top of that mountain.
Yeah, because you've climbed. Haven't you climbed? How many times have you climbed the Grand Teton?
So I've only summited once.
Oh, summited once.
Yeah.
Okay.
But three different times.
Okay, so 3 times. Okay. So that mountain, I've never done it. Which you're going to take me on there.
Yeah. Let's go this year. Yeah.
So, but you were saying that like once you got to the top, didn't you say that you like were like, I want to do this again?
Yeah.
But
and
the
it was
whole time.
the hardest thing physically
Yeah.
that I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah. So it's interesting that how you kind of get, when I ran my first marathon last year, I'm not a runner. I'm a lifter. That's like how I've always seen myself in things. But I was like, what's something that I can do that's going to, really push my physical limits?
Yeah.
And it was, okay, running a marathon. And during the marathon, like especially after mile 18, I wanted to kill myself.
Yeah.
But when I crossed the finish line, I remember driving home. My friend was driving me home, and I was looking up more races to do because I had just conquered this thing that I thought was impossible for me. And now that I'm doing this ultra race, I'm excited because I'm like, after that, I know it's going to suck the entire time, but I know after that it's going to be like, okay, what's next?
For sure.
And so.
Yeah. No, I kind of know where you were at with that. I did the first tactical games that I'd ever done. It was in Price, Utah. And I'm training for it for months, shooting, fitness, everything. And it was a very difficult 2 days. And I woke up the next morning and I was like, I guess I better go run. Like, I didn't need to. Definitely didn't need to. Wasn't like training for the next one. But I was like, I just need to run.
Yeah.
And so it is interesting where we get. And life will definitely, give you little paths to take.
Yeah.
Life's really good at knocking you off path. So I think you're right. Having a goal is very important. But also being fluid.
Yeah.
So, let yourself get a little bit off path if you're trying to find a better path.
Yeah, there's definitely a fine balance. Like my favorite, everyone that knows me that my favorite food is extra goldfish. That's just
sounds great.
I love extra goldfish, and like people are like, I always joke and say like this is my favorite pre-workout because first it gives me dopamine because I'm happy, right? I'm eating something that's processed, it's salty and it's good. But there's definitely a balance of like, okay, like you need to enjoy yourself, and you need to make sure that you're doing it in moderation.
Yeah.
Right. Moderation is just my key. It's not like, oh, I eat just this every day. There are people that do that.
Yeah, I wish I was that. I wish I could wake up and eat the same thing every day.
Yep.
But 2 months in, I need to change from.
And maybe that's my next 30-day fast is like eating just steak and eggs every day.
Yeah.
And seeing there's probably going to be results from that, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just one of those big fans of moderation.
For sure.
But making because if I have a goal of running a race, obviously I know I'm not going to have soda. I'm not going to have these things that are going to be in the way that's going to get that goal. But once I reach that goal, I'm going to go eat a burger, or something, But yeah, moderation for me is definitely the key, especially after this. It's like, hey, just make sure that we're doing everything in moderation and we're going to be fine.
Yeah. Well, food is so interesting too because, say it's crack cocaine or methamphetamine, you're like, well, I know that I shouldn't be doing that. But with food, you do need it.
Mm-hmm.
There's no kind of about it. I mean, you can only fast for so long before you starve to death.
Right.
So I actually feel for individuals with food addiction because it's like you have an addiction to something that you actually have to have.
Yeah.
So now we need to figure out how to tweak that to where you're eating the right things for your body. I love goldfish too, but it's highly processed. Therefore, there's not enough fiber and protein in that to sustain us.
Nope.
So, but it's highly calorie dense.
And it's addictive.
Yeah, totally is.
Yeah.
All of this stuff right now about the United States having certain things in the ingredients and other countries not. I mean, I was on board with that 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like we do know that whatever's in these artificially flavored things and not artificially flavored, like actual sugar, it is addictive. There's a reason why pioneers and mountain men brought sugar with them to trade to the Indians.
Yeah. That's interesting.
They knew.
Actually to think about. Like, yeah, Jeff is always telling me, he's like, because I always joke with him, like I have my goldfish and stuff, and he does deep dives on like the things that they're putting in our foods. And so does Dallin. Dallin is really good about learning about what America is putting into its processed foods to keep it addictive. And a lot of it is for like preserving it, which is not the best either. And so a lot of people will preach whole foods, and I agree with that. I do agree with whole foods and things. shop the markets, like, right? Like that's what my I had a really good lifting coach in high school that this man was shredded at the age of like 65, like just amazing. And I remember asking him a lot. I was like, what do you eat? And he always just ate, like, I always saw him with an avocado, and he's like, I never shop. He's like, here's a trick that I learned. He's like, I never shop the middle aisles of the store. You go along the outside, you get like the whole wheat bread that's made and he always ate sourdough. That's because it's like 4 ingredients.
Yeah. Like
and I love sourdough.
The glycemic index of sourdough is completely different.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. And he's like, I eat sourdough, I eat the meat, right? Then you go to the vegetables, then you go to the produce, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And then maybe there's some nuts and things in his diet, whatever. But like that's usually what he eats. Like he's like, if I stop in the middle, that's where all the processed stuff is. That's where all the garbage stuff is, and we don't want that.
Yeah. I think just eat mostly real food most of the time.
Yes.
It's probably the best diet that we could have.
Yes. That's what God intended.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it goes deep, right? But we could kind of go as deep as we want, but there are addictive things in the food that we are eating. Mm-hmm. And addiction means making money for corporations. Mm-hmm. You know, there's no big apples out there. There is big meat. Because the whole steak and egg things in the morning, that was a marketing deal. Most people didn't even used to eat breakfast.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're like, hey, we need to increase sale of meat and eggs. How do we do that? Oh, steak and eggs for breakfast. That's what you need.
Yeah, and I know people that only eat they don't even eat in the morning and they don't eat in the afternoon. They eat like one meal at nighttime, and it usually consists of some sort of meat, whether that's fish, chicken, or steak, and then they have like a protein shake, and then they just have like berries and like leafy greens, and that's it, and that's their one meal for the day, and they're like, this one meal is gonna power my body has stored fat that it can burn, but this is just like gonna give me a little bit more energy, and they've done it for a long time. Like these are people I've met in the Spartan community that I've talked to, and I'm like, man, that's crazy that you have that much, because for some of them that was every day.
Yeah, and you're speaking with people that, generally speaking, they're the fittest people in the world.
Yes,
you know, mostly. If you were going off of percentages of who's active and who does what, and they're telling you the exact opposite of what the food pyramid is.
Well, you know what's crazy is this is like kind of not unrelated. I'm going back to electrolytes.
Yeah.
It is not hard. It said 94% of this study that if you go on our podcast, I pulled it from the University of Oregon. It was a study done about the USA, about the inadequacies of electrolytes.
Yeah.
Because the 3 main ones are sodium, potassium, and magnesium, right? It said that 94% of Americans eat or ingest more sodium than they need, which is like 2,000, 3,000 milligrams. And because sodium's in everything, it's in all the food, because that salt makes everything taste good, right? And that's the addictive substance. But potassium, this is what shocked me, and this is what gave me more of an understanding of how important these things are. It said only 3% of America get in their adequate amount of potassium.
Interesting. Yeah, that's crazy.
Because in a banana, there's only like 600 to 700 milligrams, right? Because when I think of potassium, I think, bananas, because they have potassium in them. But if you need 4,000 milligrams as a female and a male, because potassium helps your neurons fire, it helps your muscles contract.
Yeah, and you've got your sodium potassium pumps, you know.
Yeah,
it's important.
So if you're just taking sodium, because sodium and potassium help each other. Magnesium's more on like it helps like relax the body and different things, like when you're going to bed, different things like that.
But sodium and potassium, they're changing places across the...
Yes, yeah. And so if you're having a lot more sodium, but you have nothing in potassium, like this, like Nature's Twist, this has like, only 90 milligrams, right? So 2% of what we need, 2% of the allotted amount. And I was just like, man, like that is insane, like that we are not getting in our potassium. And so supplementing that with either potassium salt, or I just take micro ingredients because I've been doing it for so long. But having that, and so I think that was one of the biggest things also I learned, was the importance of electrolyte intake. Yeah. And like not just salt, not just sodium, potassium and magnesium as well.
Yeah. What do LMNTs have? Are they pretty balanced?
So they have 1,000 milligrams of sodium, which obviously is like the first thing you lose when you sweat, right?
Yeah.
So like, but I think the potassium is 100,
Yeah.
which is high I think in most carbonated drinks like that, the ones you buy, they are the highest I've seen. So
Yeah.
I love that company. I drank those
Yeah.
while I was on the fast, just for something fun, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Well, and flavor is nice.
and
Gatorade, when it first came out, and it was actually the electrolyte drink of the Florida Gators,
right. Yeah.
way more electrolytes than it has today.
Right. It only has
They
like
just
60, right?
Yeah, they just replaced the electrolytes with sugar,
Yeah.
and now everyone drinks this sports drink
Yeah.
that's really just sugar. It's horrible for us.
I'm gonna be honest, I hate Gatorade. Like, do I drink it sometimes? Yes, like whatever, but it's not as packed as
You
people
might as
think.
well be drinking juice.
Yes.
So-
yeah, like it's just not as packed when now, like when like if you're sick, right, you need your electrolytes because you're losing a lot of electrolytes if you're throwing up or different things. Now, like if I ever get sick, I'm always drinking either those LMNTs or I'm getting another source of electrolytes besides Gatorade because when you are right, when it came out, it was a lot more salt in those drinks.
And even sickness is so interesting. We have these things like, we'll drink a 7-Up and it's going to help your stomach. Well, you're actually giving yourself more sugar.
Which is inflammatory.
Yeah.
Right?
And then you look at cold and flu season is like November and December and January. Well, that's interesting because November, we just finished Halloween and we've got Thanksgiving and all the candy through Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's no such thing as a flu and cold season. There's an eating a lot of sugar season.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that's how it is, but pretty interesting correlation.
Well, that's true because during that time there's cookies, there's pies, there's different things. That's what you're feeding, and so then all of a sudden, when someone gets some sort of germ, it takes over because inflammatory things will take over your body.
And I've heard cancer loves sugar.
Oh,
So
really?
Even just pulling sugar out of a diet. Like I said, I'm not a scientist, not a doctor, but I've read some really interesting studies on sugar intake. So, we get taught these things too, and this is where it's so crazy. Well, you can't eat too much meat because you'll have a heart attack. That original study was done on like bologna. So highly processed meat that has preservatives in it. That's the meat that they tested everybody on. They didn't say, okay, we're going to take a control group and we're going to give you only grass-fed steak and free-range eggs.
Yeah.
And we're going to take the other group and they're going to eat bread and sugar and pastries. And no, we decided to use bologna and salami.
Yeah,
So,
highly fat, highly processed food. That's very interesting because I know my sister is married to a doctor, and when I was telling her how like much steak and eggs I have, she was worried about me because I was having a lot of cholesterol, right?
Yep.
But I was like, you got to understand, my heart is working a lot every day because I'm running a lot, I'm lifting a lot. The vitamin B12 alone in steak and eggs is insane, and that is like a natural energy source.
Yeah.
Right. And so, plus because we're men, like the testosterone levels that we have, like those help those testosterone levels,
absolutely.
especially when you're like lifting and things. And so there's people that I know that have done carnivore diet. I actually did the carnivore diet with Dallin before this fast too, like it was like back in November. And I can tell you that I have never felt more like stronger in the gym being on the carnivore diet, like strict on the carnivore.
Yeah, I agree. Have you heard of Dr. Sean Baker? So at this point, he's probably been carnivore for nearly 10 years.
Oh, really?
And he was an orthopedic surgeon in the military, continued to be an orthopedic surgeon, but then he would tell people to go carnivore. And for some reason, I think they went after his license. I think he's got his license back. But at this point, I want to say it's probably 10 years, complete carnivore. And that's his job now is preaching the carnivore diet.
Oh, cool. So he basically became like a nutritionist
Yes.
almost, of just carnivore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's this subset, like subreddit group in the world that they've been carnivore for 20, 30, 40 years.
Wow.
They post I think it's called World Carnivore Tribe on Facebook groups. There's people that are posting their blood work, and they've been
Insane.
decades of carnivore, perfect blood work.
Yeah.
And then, you got the other groups that are like, well, I'm a fruitarian. Like, well, the first 5 years, you've got great blood work. Vegetarians, first 5 years, great blood work. Vegans, first 3 years, good blood work. After that, you have to supplement meat.
Yep.
And they're like, well, I get enough plant protein. Well, plant protein does not
meat.
Yeah, it's not meat. It does.
Meat.
You have to get like 3 times as much in order to absorb enough for it to actually work for you.
Yep.
It's so weird. Yeah.
No, I'm not trying. Yeah. I don't ever try to hate on what other people are doing. Right. Like, but I will say this, God gave us meat for a reason.
Yeah.
It's because we need the vitamins that are required in meat. And I mean, he gave us fruits and vegetables, the same reason. Like, our bodies are required to have the nutrients that are found in fruits and vegetables. And that's Whole Foods, whole foods and meat and things like that. They are given to us to use. And things like fasting, all these different things to stress the body, these are all good things. Now, if you want, like, when you want to go on a vegan diet, cool. If that works for you, cool. But I'm going to tell you right now, like, in a couple years, you're going to have some deficiency on something.
Yep. And I would say for anybody that goes on any type of diet, you've got to go into it with an open mind.
Yep.
So if you're going to go fast and then all of a sudden there's something that pops up and you're like, I actually need food right now. You physically, truly need food.
Yep.
Well, don't die. Don't die on that hill, like metaphorically speaking and literally. It's okay. Eat some food.
Yeah.
You're going to go vegan. That's great. But listen to your body.
Yep.
Do you need an egg? You probably do.
Yeah.
If you're going to go carnivore, are you getting enough carbohydrate? I mean, some people don't need it, but some people do.
Yeah.
I mean, if you went on a carnivore diet and you just happen to have some rare blood sugar disorder, it happens.
Yep.
It actually happens more the other direction where they're like, I have blood sugar problems. They go carnivore and all of a sudden they don't have blood sugar problems.
Yep.
I think
funny how that works.
Harvard did a carnivore study, and I want to say it was like 95% of the type 2 diabetics that were on metformin got off of it.
Really?
And there was a really crazy number of type 1 diabetics who stopped taking insulin.
Wow.
So people should definitely go look at this study and not just listen to me,
That's
talk to your doctor.
Type 1 too. Like,
and there are different type 1s, right? There's kids that are born with it, and then there's one that's kind of an autoimmune that happens over time. But then even going deeper than all of this, they're saying dementia or Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, they're calling that like a type 3 diabetes at this point.
Oh, wow.
So that the years of stressing your pancreas turns into not psychological, it turns into a brain disorder.
Wow.
We've been, because our brain does run off of carbohydrates.
Yes,
but
it does.
Our body, even if you're carnivore, it has to go through some process to break it down and get the glycogen, essentially.
Yep.
Glucose or glycogen.
Glucose.
Yeah, up to the brain.
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting stuff. It's fascinating because we're taught this is how it is.
Yeah.
If you eat eggs, you will have high cholesterol. Well, then someone's like, well, I'll eat 20 eggs a day and see what happens. Well, their cholesterol lowered. So
yeah, what's the real, like, if you sat and did nothing, maybe.
Yeah.
Sat and did nothing and me ate cholesterol. Yeah, you're gonna have high cholesterol. But if you're not moving, if you're moving, you're active, you'll be fine. Your heart is pumping blood. It's literally like it's building your your cardiovascular muscles, and you're fine. And so like it's, again, if you're gonna go vegan, cool. If you're gonna go carnivore, cool. If you're going to be like me and you're going to be really good throughout the week, but then on a Saturday or Sunday, you're going to have ice cream and some cake or whatever you want, heck yeah. But just make sure that your diet works for you. And biggest thing that I preach to people is calorie deficit protein intake. Yeah. Biggest thing I preach. Like, they're like, how do I gain fat, or how do I gain muscle? How do I lose weight? It's like, it's a numbers game. Calories in, calories out. And if you want to gain muscle, you need to eat a crap ton of protein. Yeah. That's my big thing.
Go ask your veterinarian how to get your dog to lose body fat. They will tell you calorie deficit and extra protein.
Yep.
And we're
Same thing.
We're both mammals.
Yeah.
So
same thing. Yeah.
if that's what you do for your dog, that's probably what we need to do. If your dog is eating a lot of human food and you're feeding it bread and crap like that, and then all of a sudden it's getting fat, the same thing is happening with us.
Yep. I feel bad for my dog because we fed her human food all the time. She was a nice little lab, and one time I took her hunting and she couldn't get over a tree,
All sad.
and I was just like, yeah, this is bad. Like, so she's passed on now, but
Well, yeah, obviously. She was eating their own crap.
She ate the wrong crap. It's our fault.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Well, dude, I'm really proud of you. That's really cool
you.
what you've done. I would say percentage-wise, if Spartan people are some of the fittest on the planet, percentage-wise, the amount of people that have done a 30-day fast is probably less percentage than that. So that's something to be proud of. We'll take these in bodies and we'll just upload them onto the video.
Cool.
So that as you're talking about them, people can see them. And then how can people find you? How can people reach out?
So yeah, we have a YouTube channel. We have a YouTube channel now. Started a couple weeks ago. It's called Alpha Athletics. If you look us up, subscribe, and then on Instagram, we're on Instagram, Alpha Athletics. At Alpha Athletics, that's it. We also have a website, alphaathletics.com. Come look at it. We just train mental performance. We have a lot of other things that we're coming out with that we're really excited about, and we're going to be doing some collaboration with you. So yeah, we're really excited about the future. And Jeff Meyer's been great. We love him. He's been just a great mentor for me. Fantastic coach for thousands of athletes that he's coached over the last 30 years, I think he's coached. So
cool.
Yeah, so we're really excited about the future. Lots of big things happening for us. And so, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see it all. I appreciate your time coming in.
Okay. I appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Let's just get healthy.
And get healthy, everybody.
Right. Hey, thanks, man. We'll see you soon.